So Bijan to the Ravens.
Yes. Bijan Robinson, running back from Texas, going to the Baltimore Ravens is one of the most fascinating places you could put him in this draft. This is the guy that we've been talking about as maybe the best running back prospect since Adrian Peterson, or Saquon Barkley is the only other guy in that conversation, I guess. He's probably the best running back we've seen in college football since we've been grading. To put him on a team like the Ravens, where they're one of those sides capable of manufacturing rushing ability from anybody, right? But another one of those teams where they go after running backs better than you think they should because of what they're able to manufacture. Like they went and got J.K. Dobbins, having already had this run of guys that you can plug in and get 6 yards per carry. Because they think, well, okay, if we can get 6 yards per carry out of these guys that aren't great, what can happen if we get a great running back?
Well, I think realistically they were getting 5 yards per carry.
Okay,
right?
and then went to 6 with J.K. Dobbins.
They're out of Gus Edwards.
Right.
And then it was like, well, if you get a guy that's creative at the second level and can, take it to the house or whatever, you can legitimately average 6 yards per carry in this offense. Now, the Ravens have had years where their rushing attack was, like a top 7 passing attack or a top 6 passing attack. Right, so as much as we diminish the value of the run game or the running back over here, in an extreme case with the Ravens, do you double down on that? And does Bijan? Because I was saying when Derrick Henry was a free agent, like what if Derrick Henry went to the Ravens? Is he one of those few guys that would make sense because he is going to legitimately punish defenders while Lamar Jackson's hitting you with speed and agility and everything, and it's just like, go ahead, try to defend this.
I mean, number one, I just want to see it. So I'm all on board. I think this is outstanding. Number two, it is worth remembering that this is not the Greg Roman offense anymore. And we don't really know what this looks like yet. So you would assume that new offensive coordinator Todd Monken is going to make some changes. On the other hand, how many changes can you make? Because this offense is extreme on the scale of different to the rest of the NFL. It's this skunkworks offense that they built around Lamar Jackson in the basement during the first year he was there. And it's evolved a little bit since then, but generally speaking, that's what we're dealing with. So if you're a new offensive coordinator tasked with coming in and improving, what do? Do you go, okay, we're going to junk this and we're going to run something much more conventional relative to the NFL, and we're going to see if Lamar Jackson can play like that? Or do you say, no, this works, we're going to stick with what's good, and we're going to make some tweaks here or there?
The place where people like to put running backs, and we'll see this later on here, Buffalo. Everybody wants to put a running back in Buffalo. To me, that's when it starts to get really iffy from like a team building standpoint. First off, I don't think the Bills are going to do it. Jahmyr Gibbs goes at 27 here. And Gibbs is awesome. Oh, man. Looks like Alvin Kamara sometimes. I mean, the Bills were hot on Kamara back a few years ago. I just don't know. That's when like a team that is so good at throwing the ball, so good at spreading the ball around and all that stuff, they will continue to manufacture running back production. The Ravens manufacture running back production, but they're going to get this volume, right? Like if Bijan's your guy, he's going to probably get his 20 carries a game, and you're not saying that's justifying it, but you're just slotting him into a system that already plays like that, presumably, right? I don't know. It feels like it's a little bit more justifiable. The interesting discussion, though, is if you take Bijan over, this is maybe the Rick Spielman discussion here from Friday. Jordan Addison, who's probably a second-tier wide receiver prospect, but a speed threat, he goes at 23. If you're the Ravens, which player makes a bigger impact for your team? Is it Bijan Robinson, the running back, or is it Jordan Addison, the receiver, who can maybe be that guy finally as a complementary deep threat to Rashad Bateman, or at least just another weapon on the outside with Mark Andrews patrol in the middle of the field?
Yeah, and it would also depend what the Ravens have done, in free agency or whatever. Like
Sure.
If they haven't addressed wide receiver at this point and they pass up on the receivers in the draft to take Bijan Robinson, that feels like a very, very difficult sell. I'd still love to see it because Bijan Robinson in that offense just feels like fun, but I think it would be pretty hard to defend if they haven't really addressed wide receiver and they pass up on every receiver in this draft except for Quentin Johnson.
Who do you think has a bigger impact then?
For the Ravens,
Jordan Addison or Bijan Robinson?
the receiver, any of them.
Yeah. And so that goes to this whole Bijan is a blue chip player, but I think when you're trying to maximize offensive production, it's easier to get running back production than it is receiver production.
Even in the Greg Roman offense, I think wide receiver would make a bigger difference. And you have to assume that any change that Monken makes will move it more in that direction.